Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday Night live stream. How is everybody? Hope you're all well. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. So we've had a few people in the chat already. So people chomping at the bit to get started and start chatting about tonight's topic, which is about conventions in general. So it is con season. I'll come on to what I mean by con season really, because there is definitely parts of the year when it's when the conventions are they're hot up. That's when we have the bulk of the conventions during the year. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about some to watch out for, some you might not be aware of. And we'll also be talking about maybe, depending upon what people say, maybe some that might not be sort of worth going to, maybe something to avoid. We'll also be chatting as well about a little bit of advice for anybody that's never been to a convention before. So if it's your first time or you're thinking about going, or you've never been before and you're kind of thinking, oh, it's not really for me, we'll have a bit of a chat and some tips for new people. So let's have a look, see who's in the chat. We have got, let's get a look here. We've got Hal Martin was in nice and early. Good evening, Hal. I hope you're well. We've also got Henrik in. Good evening, Henrik. He says, where's all the con artists? We've got Mark's in as well. Good evening, Mark. Mark's been playing a bit of Harry Potter, is it called Hogwarts Battle? And he's also been playing a bit of Keyforge, I think, over the weekend. So good to see that. We've got Stephen as well, Steve Evans. Good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Christian Reeves, who has been absolutely smashing out the miniatures this week. Lots of D&D miniatures painting. I think they're Reaper miniatures, aren't they? Looking really, really nice, mate. I like the use of colours that you've had. It's nice to see some kind of a bit more bold colours. Everything I do gets washed with Agrax, so it all tends to look the same. So it's nice to see some nice bold colours. We've got Matt Mountain in. It says, evening, Blackjackers. How are we all? Hashtag Manic Monday. And I think if I remember right, Matt, you are working on your holiday Hellboy today, which was looking pretty spiffing, if I say so. We've got Peter Nicholas, who says, I'm not here yet. If you're not here, who's typing on your computer, mate? Good evening, by the way. We've got VJ Morph says, morning, folks. Good morning, buddy, from down under. You're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very devoted. Thank you very much for coming into the chat. We've got Paul M. says, hey up, Chuck. Hey up there, Paul. How you doing, fella? Steve says, Matt, your Hellboy's looking cool. Yep, I thought that was what I'd remembered. We've got Paul Austin as well. Says, hi, everyone. Hope you're well. I hope you're well too, Paulos. Thank you very much for dropping in. We've got Marco, says, hi there, greetings from Leighton Buzzard. Busy painting Deathwatch Kill Team while your live show in the background. Well, thanks for tuning in, Marco. And I hope, I don't know if you remember in the Facebook group or not, but if you're not, mate, feel free to head across. There's a link to the group in every one of my videos in the comments in the description of the video. Head across and show me some progress pics at the end of your painting session tonight. We've got Darren in as well, says, hail and well met. Good evening, buddy. We've got Jamie in as well, Davies2K there, says, whoop whoop. How are you doing, fella? You alright? Have you had a good weekend? We've got Gary in as well, says, was that Robin Con yesterday in Knots? Right, Gary, first of all, welcome to the chat. I don't think we've chatted before. And secondly, we need to hear about you, about Robin Con. It's the first time I've actually heard of it. I've never heard of it before. I don't know why, but then I've heard loads about it the last few days, so it'll be interesting to know what you think about it, mate. Hal says, good day, Andy. Hope all's well, mate. Finally coming out of our -40 deep freeze. That is a bit chilly, that, mate. We've actually had a bit of nicer weather here. It was quite nice at the weekend. About like sort of 10, 11 degrees. Kind of from where it's been, that was almost summer-like. Jamie says, wash. I don't know if I've missed something. Do I need to wash? Have I got dirt on my face? We've got Rui in, says, good evening. Good evening, Rui. How you doing, buddy? Peter says, hi, everyone. I'm early for a change. Nice to see you, Peter. Thanks for coming in. Paulos says he's off to Hammerhead in 2 weeks' time. First one of the year. Yeah, Hammerhead's... actually, I think I forgot to write Hammerhead down, actually. So we'll keep that one in. We'll keep that one for the list as well. VJ says he's bought a Harry Potter Hogwarts game to play with his wife. Suffice to say, I bought it 6 months ago and we still haven't played it. I'm hearing nothing but good things about it, buddy. Definitely worth breaking it out. Do you mean the Hogwarts... We're talking about the Hogwarts card game. I don't know if you're talking about the Harry Potter miniatures game. Was that 6 months ago? Probably was out about 6 months ago now. Skullmunch says, what's up, you lovely lot? Good evening, Skullmunch. How you doing, Sean? Hope you're well, mate. We've got Craig Lowthers coming as well. Good evening. Hello, Craig, to you. I'm trying to remember now. They were Space Wolves, weren't they? They're looking pretty fantastic, mate. I just saw them in the Facebook group, but I haven't had a chance to comment on them. They're looking really nice, mate. Mark saying the VJ there, he's played it with his 12-year-old. Really enjoys it. It's a decent deck builder, which does increase in difficulty. Flying Mammal's waving there from across the screen. Good evening, Flying Mammal. Welcome to the chat, as always, and thank you very much for the work that you've been doing this week. I won't spoil it if you want to share it yourself or if you want to wait until till March, but thank you very much for that. It looks awesome. I was just showing the pictures to my wife tonight. Jamie says, advice for cons. Oh, watch. See, it all makes sense now in context. Yes, we'll definitely have that one on the list. VJ says, nice one. I'm looking forward to playing it sometime in the next decade. Yeah, just put it on the to-do pile, mate, yeah? Hendrik says, is there a list of all the cons? I always hear about them after the event. If you go to UK Games Expo, they have a list of quite a lot of the cons that are happening in the UK, actually, on their site. It doesn't list them all, and it certainly doesn't list anything kind of outside of the UK. But yeah, there's quite a few on there. I'm not really sure if there's anywhere else that lists them. Would be quite a good resource to have, wouldn't it? Darren says, looking forward to Hammerhead. Have you been before, Darren, or is this a first time? Is there something specific that you like going? Is there a reason that you like to go to Hammerhead? Gary said, yeah, it was good. It's in its third year. Had a good mix this year of board games. Sorry, the chat just jumped there. I lost my place. War games and board games. Nice one, mate. So did you play anything special? Did you see anything new? Anything you hadn't played before? We've got Steve in from Steve Smallworld. Says hi to all. Good evening, Steve. Skullmunch says, really looking forward to the massive con. Massive. VJ says, yeah, the card one. Couldn't get the miniature one in Austin. Glad I didn't spend the money on the... In Australia, sorry. Glad I didn't spend the money on the mini... Oh, that's right. They didn't ship to Australia, did they? I forgot about that. We'll just gather dust how often his wife agrees to play with him. Yep, I know that feeling, mate. Neil's in as well tonight. Good evening, Neil. He says, boom and hi. Neil, you're... Oh, God, I nearly said the wrong name of them now. I'm pretty sure the Blood Angels, aren't they, those stuff you've been painting? They are looking pretty damn fantastic, mate. Henrik says, I live in the Netherlands. I guess the big ones, I guess, from you to Netherlands-wise, is probably like the one at... Is it Havoc and Fiasco? Is it? No, that's not them. I'm trying to think now. What's the big one? Somebody will remind me what the big convention is. Kind of, is it like September, October, November time? A big one in Belgium, I think it is. And Paulos says, advice for guns. Avoid the large guy with the oversized rucksack. Rucksacks. I get why people take bags to conventions. I mean, you're carrying stuff, you're buying stuff, but when everybody there has a rucksack on and every time they turn and they knock things flying around, I always kind of panic when I see them like backing up towards like shelves full of games and miniatures and stuff. It's a bit scary. So, how are we doing time-wise? It's 10 past 8. Well, Craig's just saying there as well, it was his Space Wolf intercessors. I thought I'd seen them, mate, right? He said it's his main army, although I have dabbled in orcs with Speed Freaks. Have you played Speed Freaks yet? What do you think of it? I've not played it at all. I don't really don't know much about it other than it looks a little bit like Gaslands 40k. Paula says it's Crisis. That's the one I was thinking of. And yeah, Henrik says Crisis. There's another one called Fiasco as well. Where's that one? I always think about Crisis and Fiasco kind of like in the same breath for some reason. Skullmunch says they are the mini bosses to Paulos. The mini bosses. Who's the big boss at the end of the level? And Darren says Hammerhead's pretty local. It's about 30 minutes drive, which is always good. He said it's got a great atmosphere and I get to blow cash on Callistra 12mm. Nice one, mate. Well, we might as well get started and I'll take you through some of the conventions because I've been making notes. I'm getting good now making notes. And I'll take you through some of the conventions and some of the kind of the chat for tonight. So when I say convention season is here, convention season really is here. From about kind of middle of February, the conventions start to kind of crank up. I mean, there's obviously some kind of, there might be the odd one in January or whatever, but generally, yeah, kind of middle of February, things like Vapen Attack in York seems to kind of kick it off early in the year. And then when we get into March, it really does seem to kind of pick up steam, and it's kind of full steam ahead from here. So the ones I've got on my list, and I'll kind of mention the ones that I'll be attending as well, kind of, and the reasons why I'm going to those particular ones. So first on the list is Aircon. Aircon takes place from the 8th to the 10th of March, and that's in Harrogate in the UK. And this is one that I'm going to be attending. I heard really, really good things about last year's, and I would say it's a convention that focuses, I would say, predominantly on board gaming, maybe with a bit of tabletop gaming in there as well. But it's certainly it's more for the playing of the games rather than the kind of shopping experience. There are some traders there, but there's not a lot of traders there, if you like. It's more just a huge, big convention for people to get together and play a lot of like open gaming, really. So I'm going this year. I'm planning to go this Saturday, I think it is. I'm hoping to meet up with Alex Barty as well. You might have seen him. He drops into the live chat now and again. Always catches up with it later on. So good evening, Alex, or good morning, Alex, whenever you're watching this, mate. And he always comments on my videos, and we always have a bit of chat on Twitter as well. I met him at UK Games Expo last year, and we've been trying to kind of arrange to meet back up again. We're planning to play the Godfather board game, because we planned to play it last year and didn't get round to it. And he's also keen to play, I think it was Cthulhu Pandemic, I think it might have been as well. So we're going to try and get together and get some games of those. And Alex is also, I don't know if you remember, but Alex is the guy that created the Minty's Beautiful football game that I was playing a little while ago as well, which is kind of a little kind of print and play game that fits into a tin. So I'll drop a link in the Facebook group again to Alex's print and play games. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Aircon. It's definitely I think it's definitely more kind of family friendly type convention. From what I've heard about it, it's really well organized. The guys that run it do a great job. Rodney Smith's there from Watch It Played, so he's a guest that's there as well. There's a few other guests that will be attending, and it's predominantly kind of the social aspect and the playing side, with a smattering of kind of traders and demo games, and also it looks like there's some nice food there as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Next up, I couldn't go through March conventions and not mention the Tabletop Legacy Weekender. So yeah, for those that don't know, it is the weekend convention that myself and Jay and Steve from Top Table Gaming, yeah, I think it was right there, from Top Table Gaming are running. We're doing a mixture of a few kind of events, but again, really predominantly aimed at a social weekend. So yeah, that's 22nd to 24th of March, and that is in Stockport. So I'll be attending that one as well. So March is definitely a bit of a busy month for me. The same weekend as that as well, we've also got Franticon, which is down in Darksphere in London. And that is the guys from the Mantic Frantic... is it? I'm trying to remember the name of that podcast now. My mind went blank. Frantic Gamers, that's it. From the Frantic Gamers podcast, they're running a weekend event in conjunction with Mantic Games, where there is Kings of War, there's Dreadball, and there's Dead Zone events over that weekend as well. So if you don't want to travel further north up to Stockport and come to my weekend, feel free to check out Frantic Gamers Franticon down in London. And then also for March, you couldn't go through March and not mention probably one of the biggest wargaming conventions in the world, which is Adepticon. And Adepticon takes place from the 27th to the 31st of March in Chambord in Illinois, I think it is. Yeah, it's in Illinois. And for anybody that's really into their wargaming, I think Adepticon's kind of like is the mecca of wargaming conventions. I would love to go one day. From what I understand, the tickets sell out really quickly, the hotels sell out really quickly, but it really is a wargaming event, and definitely one worth checking out at some point in my life, I think, if I ever get there. If I ever manage to save up the funds to have a trip out to Chicago and go and see Adepticon. So, that's March anyway. Let me have a quick look in the chat and see exactly see exactly where we're at. So, VJ is saying he's got back into the hobby 2 years ago and he's not been to a con since his early 20s. His first con back will be travelling to the US for Tabletop Minions Expo. I'm all about the community. That's amazing that you're heading over there, mate. I forgot that Uncle Adam always does his Tabletop Minions Expo as well. You'll have to let me know what it's like, mate. Fiasco's in Leeds. Paulos just reminded me as well. And Craig saying it plays well, nice for something different to play. Nice to hear it, mate. Gary says Mortal Gods was there being demoed by Warbanner, and being in Nottingham, it's always a nice sprinkling of industry legends. Gav Thorpe, James Hewitt, Nigel Stillman, and apparently Rick Priestley and John Blanche were in attendance, though I missed them myself. Excellent. It's good to see the kind of that. I mean, they're gamers like we are, really. They just happen to work in and around the industry, and some of them have kind of had some pretty successful games. But it's good to see them kind of like sort of still getting involved, I guess. Jamie said, so pro. What can I say, man? Flying Mammal says, no problem, up to you if you show it. I don't know if I can show it because my mouse is over there, so I can't control the screen from that one. I've got my chat on the laptop over here. But Flying Mammal, Ruth, has very, very kindly made a dice bag for me with my logo on, which looks amazing. So we've she did offer to post it to me, but I've said let's wait until the tabletop weekender in March, and then I can say thank you in person as well. So it's really, really kind. I'm kind of blown away by your generosity. So thank you very much. Skullmunch says the big boss is the missus when she realised how much you spent. Shh, she's next door. She'll be able to hear me. VJ says that's an amazing lineup of guests to Gary. Yeah, it kind of helps being in and around Nottingham, doesn't it? Skullmunch says I've heard Aircon is really cool. I'll get my coat. Yes, it's air with an E on the end for the River Air. But yeah, it seems to be going from strength to strength. It's, from what I understand, it's been going for about 4 years now, I think, off the top of my head. And last year I heard nothing but good reports. It's not too far away from me, so Harrogate for me is probably like maybe an hour and a half's drive, something like that. Not too bad at all. I'm going to make a bit of a weekend of it with the family, so we're going to go down on early Saturday morning. I'm going to drop my wife at York for the day. She's going to take the little one to the Railway Museum, so he can go and see the trains and stuff. And then they're going to head off to the hotel later on. There's a swimming pool at the hotel, so she's going to take the little one swimming. I'm going to have a day of gaming, and then I'm going to come back across to York and sort of meet them up for some food in the evening and have a night in York with the family. So yeah, just trying to make the most of it. I've got quite a bit of kind of travelling to do in March when it comes to gaming. So it's nice to try and sort of make it work with the family where I can as well. Gary says some nice participation games run by the local clubs. Lenton Wargamers ran a chain of command participation table, and the Hammer and Ales Club ran zombie games set in Nottingham's own Market Square. I think the zombies were spilling out of the local Wetherspoons. If the spoons is anything like the one in Newcastle, definitely the case. Steve says Crusade in Pennoth. Let's just jump off the top of my screen. Near Cardiff at the end of January is always my first. Always a great show to start the year. And Gary says Warlord and Mantic alongside Warbanner had retail stands. It's good to see the kind of the local guys supporting that kind of stuff. Paulus is saying Partisan and the other Partisan are great shows. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's who is it who always goes to Partisan? There's somebody in the Facebook group who always goes to Partisan, and I'm trying to remember who it is now. It'll come back to me in a minute. We've got Alex has just. I've just been told about you, Alex. You'll probably see it if you go back. He said just checking in to say look forward to catching you at Aircon. We have a game date, remember. I was just saying about that. I said we had a game date. So, yeah, we'll sort out the details, mate. I'll message you after probably tomorrow morning now. But, yeah, we'll definitely fine-tune the details because it's not long to go now, is it? We've got Brian in. Good evening, Brian. How are you doing? He said, sup, Andy. We've got Tony as well. Mr. Spooky Thing says, evening all. Good evening, buddy. Yeah, Gary's just saying to VJ that they weren't really official guests. They were paying visitors. Like I say, it's good to see. Paul says, I must admit I have a bit of a phobia about playing with strangers. It took me a long time to get around going to a club. You're not the only one, mate. I mean, it's quite a big thing. It's playing games like with anyone really is it's a very social, interactive experience really, and it's one of the things that I guess we love about gaming. If you then kind of throw strangers into the mix, it can be quite an icebreaker. You know, you've got a common interest. It's quite nice that you've got a reason to come together, but it can be quite intimidating as well. And all I would kind of suggest is make sure you don't necessarily travel alone, or kind of make some contact before you get there. But yeah, I mean, I'm going on my own to this one. Obviously, I'm meeting up with Alex while I'm there. For me, it's just it's a chance to get out and play a few games. Really, just try some new stuff. Tony saying, I'll be at AirCon and UK Games Expo and Tabletop Legacy, if that counts as a con. It does count as a con, mate. I've already included that one. Well, I'm going to those 3 as well this year, so I will see you at each and every one of them. VJ says, oh wow, they were just there hanging out. That would be cool. Says that would be a Q&A panel. I ask questions all day. We've got Bazza in as well. Says, hey guys, good evening. Bazza, Underdog Painting. Gary says, I'll pass it on to the organisers. I think they would try and put some seminars together if there's enough interest. I think it's maybe if you're in and around Nottingham, maybe you kind of take it for granted a little bit that these guys are in and about. But for anybody else, it's quite a big deal to see games designers. I know the first time I went and met James Hewitt, it was kind of like was it like not uncomfortable because he's a really nice guy, but it was like, I've got so many of your games up on my shelf. I mean, if you think of the games that James had worked on when he was at Games Workshop, certainly he worked on Dreadball when he was at Mantic. He went to Games Workshop and worked on Silver Tower and Gore Chosen and Blood Bowl and Necromunda. It's like, he's spent the best part of his game design life designing games that I was playing, kind of thing. And it was much the same when I met Alessio. I was kind of conscious that he's a big name, but if you're in and around Nottingham, maybe you take that for granted a little bit. Paulo says, Rick Priestley, the Perry twins, Alessio are often a partisan and always up for a chat. Everybody I've met within the gaming community like that, like, I guess you could call them kind of celebs, because they're well known within that sort of industry, but they've all been really nice and really approachable. Alex is saying, it'll be the Godfather, Corleone's Empire, and possibly Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu, sorry. I got it right. If you watch this back, mate, you'll see, probably before you came at the chat, I mentioned that those were the 2 games we were going to play at UK Games Expo last year, and unfortunately couldn't get a chance. So yes, I'm looking forward to it, mate, definitely. Well, I'm talking of Pandemic. Me and my wife have been banging into Pandemic Legacy again recently, and over the past few nights, we've gone through like 4 months of Pandemic Legacy. Really enjoying it at the minute, and I voted it my board game of the year for last year of all the games I'd played. We're absolutely loving it at the minute. Loving how the story's developing. Really, I think we're getting into the kind of meat and bones of it a bit now, which is really cool. Jamie says, fanboy swoon from Andy. I guess it was just kind of one of those weird things, really, where you just like, I'm not really kind of like, I don't have any kind of actors that I kind of sort of aspire to kind of ever meet, or any kind of musical heroes. I've got bands that I like and that kind of stuff, but I guess I've never really kind of fanboyed really about any kind of big names. So when you actually get to kind of sit down and have a chat with somebody who's designed some of the games that you love playing, it did feel a little bit like that. I guess over time I've been lucky enough to meet a few people now, and it's maybe it doesn't hit me quite so much now, but yeah, it was cool. Tony's saying that Alex, Pandemic Cthulhu's made me ditch all the others. I like it that much. Oh, I'm looking forward to playing it even more now then, mate. Definitely. Why don't you come and join in, Tony? Come and have a game with us. So, back to conventions. So that's March. That's only 1 month. April, there's a couple of biggies in April. Or certainly one biggie. So the Salute on the 6th of April takes place at the Excel building in London. You've probably seen from my videos that I've got mixed feelings about Salute. I've got some really nice kind of happy experiences and some good memories of Salute. I remember meeting Sorry, I was reading the chat there. I remember meeting up with Mark last year as well, and the two of us had a good wander around. It was really good to kind of meet Mark face to face for the first time. We spent the best part of the day together, just kind of wandering and talking games and chatting. So that was pretty cool. I had a really good day. We met up with Jamie while he was there as well. He was there with a few mates. We met up with... who else did we meet up with? There was another couple of people we met very briefly, kind of, while we had a bit of a meet-up as well. My mind's gone blank now. I've got a terrible head for names, so I apologise if I've missed you off. I don't even want to say the wrong name. I'd rather say none rather than the wrong one. So we met up with a few people actually. That was really cool. And I remember going like a number of years ago with my son. So the first time I went on my own. I actually got the night bus from Newcastle because I think it was something like 20 quid return. So I was trying to keep the price down. So you got the overnight bus. You can't sleep on the night bus. They stop halfway down and kind of wake you up to go to the toilet. Like we're stopping at the services, get off kind of thing. It was awful. So by the time I got there, I was absolutely shattered the first time. But I had a really good day. And then I decided to pay for the train to get back. I wasn't hanging about waiting for the bus home. So I paid for the train ticket to come home to get me back at a decent time. The second year, I took my son Sam down, who you'll have seen on some of my Walking Dead videos and also on the Kings of War Vanguard battle reports. He came down with me, and I've still got the photos on my phone of like we had a really good day, kind of just having like a bit of a father-son kind of day out. He must have only been probably about 8 or something like that at the time, maybe a little bit older, probably only about 8 or 9. We had a great day out. Like he went down to London, first time he'd been to London, so saw all the big sites that he'd kind of like never seen before, and I've got photographs of him like reading the rule book for a game that we bought, like on the train coming back. He was like so excited. He had a great day. And then I think the following year, maybe a few years later, I took both of my older sons down and we kind of went down, had a day out. We went across, we saw some of the sites around London again, went to Hard Rock Cafe for food, and it kind of really made a day of it. So I've got some really like kind of nice experiences of Salute. But as I mentioned in my video, it's just the shine's gone for me now. I think I've experienced other conventions that are much better, and it's just a bit of a shame, really. There's nowhere to play, so there's no open gaming space. There's not even that many spaces to be able to just sit and have a chat with people. You end up kind of walking the floor, really. There's a few kind of plastic picnic chairs and stuff dotted about. It's really expensive. It's like a £5 for a cup of coffee or something. I think I paid something like £2.50 for a piece of caramel shortbread or something to have some food while I was in the place. It's just expensive. There's not that much there. If you've never been before and you're banging your war games, especially if you're into historic stuff and you like to see kind of demonstration tables and stuff, by all means get down there. So I think it's only like a tenner to get in. But if you're gonna have to spend a lot of money to kind of travel and you're going to buy specific stuff, I don't know. It's not my favourite anymore, and I'd rather save that money to spend on a different convention. The other one that I've got down here as well in April is Uncon, and it's Uncon 5. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think it was Steve Evans who said that this might be his local convention. I can't remember. But that is from the 6th to the 7th of April, and that's in Kent. I don't know anything about it, other than I've heard good things about it. If it wasn't Steve, it was certainly somebody in the Facebook group. So yeah, that's what I've got for April. I'm not sure if there's anything else for April. Maybe I've missed some. Maybe you guys know. Let's have a quick catch up here. VJ says meeting Jervis and Andy Chambers will be pretty cool. Agreed. And Alex says he'll watch the beginning later tomorrow. Cheers, buddy. Jamie says, talking of legacy, we got a copy of Gloomhaven sitting on the shelf saying, buy me, buy me. I'm so tempted, mate. I'll tell you what, if we blast through oh God, my mind went blank there. If we blast through Pandemic Legacy too quick, I might be coming calling. I always thought it was a game I would love to play, but probably wouldn't see the table. But we're absolutely loving Pandemic Legacy at the minute. Paul says, I must say my phobia is truly irrational and unjustified. All phobias tend to be unjustified and irrational. It doesn't make them any less real, mate. Don't worry about that. He says, every game I've ever met and chatted to has been absolutely lovely. Thank goodness for the internet. Great way to get to know folks. It definitely is. And I think like even the tabletop legacy weekend, that That's what it's all about, really. We all chat together online. We all share each other's our pictures of what we're painting and what we're playing, and we have a chat and we ask opinions and all of that kind of stuff. But it's an opportunity to be a real kind of community event and get everybody together and a bit of social gaming. Really, just have a bit of fun in a relaxed environment. No pressure to kind of do anything, but just with a little bit of a nudge to encourage people to try and play some games as well. So that's what we're trying to achieve. We'll see by the end of March how it pans out. Tony says, you're on. I think you'll like it. Nice one, buddy. Bazza says, I had a boy come into Asda where I work and say to his mum, there's Underdog painting. What if my photo? Bit of a surreal moment. It's kind of weird, isn't it? There's been a couple of times I've been at conventions and stuff where I've kind of, where somebody's come and tap you on the shoulder and say, you're that guy off the YouTube. And it is kind of weird. It's, I remember I was once in Games Workshop in the Metro Centre. I was buying some bits of paints and stuff, I think it was, because I was shopping there. And the guy was kind of rabbiting away to me and sort of like, oh, what you painting at the minute, what you're playing this. And then when he rung all the stuff through the till and gave me the bag, he went, oh, I really like your Shadespire videos. And it was like he obviously just didn't want to say anything until I was on the way out the door. So yeah, that was a bit surreal, a bit weird. Paulos says, it's a real shame that Derby Worlds seem to have gone down the pan. Used to be a great con, really friendly and a good mix of traders. Hope they can get it back on the circuit. I'm trying to remember what was Derby Worlds the one that was at the airfield that was a little bit like, it was a bit hard to get to and stuff. Was that one? Alex said, he's off to work. You're doing an amazing pucker job, mate. Keep up the brilliant work. Looking forward to next month. And yeah, he can join us, no problem. Thanks very much, Alex. Really appreciate the kind words. But yeah, I'll definitely be in touch, mate, because I'm really looking forward to those games, mate. So thanks very much for dropping in. And Tony saying that would be great. Dice Tales is in. Good evening, Mark. He said, Expo-wise, I'm a solo table wanderer. Just ask if there's a spot free. Everyone's super friendly. One thing I noticed, and I've only ever seen it at the UK Games Expo, was in the open gaming area, people had little kind of sort of just cardboard signs that they'd made themselves, just sitting on the table saying like, free place here, come and play. And I thought that was really kind of engaging to try and anybody that does have a little bit of a phobia, excuse me, anybody that is a little bit kind of a bit shy, there's quite a few kind of gamers go to conventions on their own as well, just to wander and kind of soak up the atmosphere. I thought that was a really cool idea. I mean, that was kind of, it's like an open invite to say, look, we are welcoming kind of solo gamers, or we're welcoming people to come and play our game. And I thought that was a really nice touch. I've not seen that anywhere else. Where are we? Miniature Painting's in. He says, no worries, guys, I'm here. Hello, all you boys and girls. How are you doing, Michael? You are knocking them out of the park, mate, them Night Stalkers. For anybody that hasn't seen Michael's stuff, go and check out his Night Stalkers in a month videos. I can't believe how much you're getting through, mate. Steve says, no, it wasn't him. He's in Bristol. I forget who it was now. For some reason, I had your name in my head. So, somebody, certainly in the comments of one of my videos, and it might have been on the Salute one, told me about Uncon, and I thought it was you, mate. Apologies for that. Paulos says, while I think about it, check out ChillCon at Sheffield. Yes, I forgot to write that down. ChillCon, I think, is the same weekend as the Tabletop Legacy weekend. I think they're on the Saturday on the 23rd. And they have another one later in the year, don't they, at Derby. Top little shows worth going to. I've missed every single one because they've always clashed with something else. But I would love to try and get to one this year. The guys that run it are a good bunch of guys. So yeah, I would love to try and make one. Hendrik says to Michael he's not worried. Steve said he agree about Salute, not bothering myself this year, saving my dosh for the Mantic Spring Open Day. I haven't even included that actually in my mail list, Mantic one, because I kind of, in my head, I didn't really think about it as a convention, but the Open Days at the different manufacturers or producers, or what's the word I'm looking for? The publishers. They're always a great day out as well. Always loads of gaming, loads of things to buy, that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, there's definitely that one in May. Jamie said, where are we? He said he had the same when he was doing Shade Glass. Celeb culture. Yeah, I'm not built to be a celebrity, that's for sure. Jamie says, yeah, it was packed. Derby World. Yeah, that's the one. There was problems with kind of accessing the place and stuff, wasn't there? And traders couldn't get in, and I think people were complaining that the traders didn't make any money because literally people couldn't get round to buy anything. I definitely remember hearing some kind of sort of weird sort of stories about it. Alex is saying, oh, MidCon in Derby is in November. I haven't got any for November on my list, actually, so I'll write that one down. MidCon, Derby, November. I'll get to that one. Thanks, mate. Jamie is saying, are there still tickets available for March? Yeah, there's still a few left, mate. We're not sold out, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because it would have been nice to sell out straight away. But it's a good thing that there's still room for other people to come. We kind of capped it anyway to make sure that the place wouldn't be too full, that there's still space to get around, and that it's comfortable if people want to kind of sit out for a little bit. I think you'll have seen recently as well, Element Games have just announced, we mentioned it, that obviously when we announced about the convention, that Element Games were going to be getting some sort of food facilities, like a cafe on site as well, and that's on track to be open well before our event as well. So I think it's actually next week. They are kind of, it might even be opening next week because they're having like a free cakes day or something on Tuesday night. I wish I could get down there. Yeah, so there are still tickets available, mate. And Mark's saying to Steve, me too. Yeah, talking about a salute. Paul's saying the Derby Worlds was at Donington Circuit. It started at the Assembly Rooms, moved to the Uni, and then to Donington. It then moved to Bruntonthorpe, but wasn't well received. I think that's what I seem to remember. Was it like bad weather as well or something like that? Was it really muddy or something? I forget now. Michael saying to Hendrik, you'll be when I flush you off the table with some purple painted unit, or purple, or blurple painted units and hordes. So, moving into May. It'd be amiss of me to not mention the Mantic Open Day then, which is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. So yeah, I'm not sure if they've sold out or not yet, but if you can still get tickets, the Mantic Open Days are always a decent day out. And I think the focus this year is probably going to be Hellboy, I would imagine. Hellboy will be in the big game that'll come out. There'll be some more Kings of War Vanguard releases probably around that time as well, and I'm sure there'll be some new stuff that we've not mentioned yet. Excuse me, we'll have a drink. Throat's drying out again. Yes, May. Right at the back end of May into June, the big one is the UK Games Expo. So that's on from the 31st of May to the 2nd of June. Again, it's another one that I'll definitely be going to. It's probably my favourite. I've not been to Aircon yet, so maybe Aircon might turn out to be a particularly good one as well. And maybe the Tabletop Legacy Weekender will turn out to be the best one. But of the ones I've attended, certainly the UK Games Expo is my favourite. There's certainly enough to kind of keep you occupied over the 3 days if you were to go for the full weekend. Saturday tends to be really busy, but not so busy that you still can't get in and demo some games. It's probably the most professional looking one of all the ones I've been to. It really does feel like one of the big American cons, and it's just really well organised. The Birmingham NEC where it's held is a fantastic kind of location. It's quite easy to get to. There's plenty of parking there. They've got a nice little bus service that kind of runs from the main event centre to all of the car parks. Plenty of hotels and restaurants on site. They have some nice stuff. Every time I've been, the weather's been fantastic. So fingers crossed for another one this year. So yeah, really can't wait for UK Games Expo. Really looking forward to that one. And I'm going on my own this year. I've been with my son the past couple of years that we've been. But I went with both of the lads the first year that I went. Since it moved to the NEC anyway, I've been to the UK Games Expo years ago when it was back in Birmingham, kind of at the Strathallan Hotel, I think it was. But since it moved to the NEC, I took both of my older lads the first time. One of my lads had a broken collarbone as well, so he didn't have the best of times. And the second year, last year, I just took Sam with me, and Sam was pretty goosed. He kind of, I think I walked the feet off from the poor lad, really, to be fair. But we had a great weekend. This time I'm going alone, so I can kind of, I can have a few beers, I can have a bit more late night gaming and try and kind of meet up with a few people, really, without kind of having to drag my son around with me, really. Because it's probably me taking him as the bag man, to be fair. Michael's saying that's Crisis, BlackJack Legacy. Yeah, I think we were talking about Crisis before, yeah. Marco says, which con would you recommend for me and my 9-year-old son? We've never been to one. You're at Leighton Buzzard, Marco, aren't you? So, if you're into board gaming, I would definitely recommend the UK Games Expo. It's Birmingham, so distance-wise is probably not too bad for you. It's definitely really family-friendly. I'd maybe, if you're just going to go for the day, either maybe, I think, is it kids' holidays have started then? I'm not sure if the kids' holidays have started at that point, but the Friday would be a good day because it's a bit quieter. Or the Sunday is always a bit quieter as well. So with having a little one, maybe one of those 2 days rather than the Saturday. If it's more wargaming stuff you're looking for, maybe one of the more local ones might not be a bad shout for a first one, to be fair. I'm trying to think what's local to Leighton Buzzard, what's down that way. So it depends on if it's board gaming or wargaming. But certainly, I mean, like Aircon that I mentioned before that I'm going to is really family friendly. They've got family gaming zones. Yeah, there's a real mix. Alex is saying he's definitely off to work now. Got to go, take care. Thanks, buddy. Catch you later, mate. Steve's saying Legionary in Exeter, Devon is on the 11th of May, my local show. Yeah, there's a lot of this kind of the more local ones that weren't on the list when I went looking. And it is quite hard to find a real, like a list of all the different ones. Part of me thinks I might make one and stick them on a Facebook group. Have you been to that one before, Steve? One you enjoy going to, mate? Paulo says, I went to Bruntonthorpe and it was okay. Food wasn't great and was well expensive. The main issue was space for traders. I think that's what I remember now. Yeah, I think the traders were complaining that they didn't make much money. It wasn't worth the trip because there wasn't space for them to kind of get set up and stuff, I think. Paul says, where are tickets for Tabletop Legacy Weekend available from? Is there a link? They're available by PayPal from... Oh, I forget the link now. That's terrible. What I'll do is I'll put a link up in the Facebook group tonight, and I'll also put a link up on the description or in the comments of this video as well. The tickets are £25. That pays for your entire weekend, right from the Friday lunchtime right the way through till the Sunday evening when it finishes. It also enters you into many of the events if you want to. So there's a Wild West Exodus event. There is a 2-day Middle-earth strategy battle game event. There is a Kill Team event. There is a Walking Dead event. There's a Drowned Earth narrative campaign event being run by the creator. Is there Guild Ball? There might be a Guild Ball event. I know we were talking about one, but I can't remember if we ever settled on it or not. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head now. There's loads of open gaming as well. And what we're going to do is that basically if you... to encourage people to play games, if you play a new game or you play with somebody you've never played with before, there'll be raffle tickets that you'll get a raffle ticket for kind of meeting those challenges, if you like. And then on the Sunday, there'll be a raffle draw with some fantastic prizes. So you have a chance to win some marvellous gaming goodies just for playing some new games. How bad can that be? On the Friday night, we're going to have a live stream. So there's myself, there's the guys from Top Table. We've got Luke from Luke's APS. We've also got Kev Lawrence from Shadow and Flame Painting. We're going to do a bit of a live stream, so anybody that isn't at the event or who maybe is in a different country or whatever, they can still kind of feel part of it on the Friday night, and then we'll obviously be taking some questions and stuff from people that are there. And then on the Saturday evening, we're going to have a bit of a fun kind of gaming quiz on the evening. Kind of get some food in, and we'll have more social gaming on the night time as well. So yeah, plenty happening. I will put a link in the Facebook group. Please remind me if I don't do it tonight. Please remind me in the morning. But yeah, even if you go onto Facebook and look for Top Table Legacy Weekender, it has its own Facebook page as well. He said he's not promising anything, but like the sound. Yeah, by all means, mate. If you want any more information, or you want to kind of message me privately just for a bit more details, please do, mate. Paulos is saying, going to try and make Expo again this year. Might depend on work, though. Yeah, unfortunately, work tends to get in the way, doesn't it? Jamie said he's going to the Expo too. You certainly are, mate. Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll be meeting up there. Steve says, Legionary is a cracking little show. It's good to see the smaller ones are really starting to grow as well. Jamie says he's also going to Spiel. Nice one, mate. I'm really tempted, because it's so far off, I'm really tempted to try and kind of like save a little bit up and make a trip myself, actually, because Essen's not too bad to get to. So I might have to chat to you about that one, mate, see what your plans are. Hendrik says, yes, one list to rule them all. Also the Netherlands, please. Yeah, I might try and see if I can pull something together for that, because information is really kind of like scattered around. It's quite hard to find all that information about all the different conventions. Steve says he goes most years to Legionary and put a game on, cutting it tight to put a new game on this year. Just go and enjoy yourself, mate. Go and have a wander around and play everybody else's games for a change. That would be a cool thing to do. So that takes us up to May into June. There seems to be a bit of a gap around the kind of June and July time. I'm assuming because that's when the kind of people are starting to go on holiday. So that's when people are away for the summer holidays and stuff. So I think they kind of have a bit of a break in the conventions. I'm sure there'll be some that maybe we've missed, certainly kind of dotted around and stuff. But yeah, there's a bit of a gap around the summer. And then the big one really that we come back to in August is Gen Con. So Gen Con is on from the 1st to the 4th of August. It happens in Indianapolis. It is the biggest gaming convention in the world, or the biggest sort of tabletop gaming convention in the world. It's one I would absolutely love to go to at some point. I think it's just kind of crazy. I mean, their tagline is the best 4 days in gaming, but I think it's the sheer size of the place. It's got so big now that it's overspilled where it was. And if anybody's familiar with American football, the Indianapolis Colts, their stadium is now used as well. So they actually kind of cover the pitch over, and they have tables and stuff on the actual stadium now. It's kind of spilled out from the convention center. The whole area, like all of the different bars and the restaurants, all kind of retheme themselves for Gen Con. So the bars they'll maybe be sponsored by certain games companies. So they'll have drinks related to certain games, or the staff will all be dressed up as kind of certain characters from games. It is just it's just the kind of, if you're into board gaming, it is probably kind of utopia really when it comes to conventions, and certainly something to maybe try and put on the bucket list to try once anyway if you're not in and around America. If you're into tabletop gaming, more kind of war gaming stuff, miniature gaming, it's maybe worth a visit, but I think it's less specific. It really is board gaming, RPGs, card games, tabletop stuff. But yeah, the amount of stuff that they have on is unbelievable. Some of the seminars they do, some of the classes that you can take, there's some really fantastic stuff. Also in August as well is a one up in Scotland. There is Tabletop Scotland, which takes place the 24th to the 25th of August in Perth. I don't know a lot about it. I know that they're... I listened to... I'm going to embarrass myself now by forgetting the name of the podcast, but I do listen to a podcast, and I'm going to tell you what it is now by looking at it. It's in my the Unlucky Frog Gamers. Unlucky Frog is a podcast. They're Scottish guys, and I know they have quite a bit to do with Tabletop Scotland as well. When I say I don't think they organise it, but I think they attend it, or they certainly do some bits and pieces with it. They might actually be their kind of like the official kind of media for it or something like that. But yeah, I've heard a lot about it. It's probably closer to me than Birmingham, to be fair, to go to Perth. So maybe it's something I'll have to have a look at for, back end of August. And then the next one we've just been chatting about, there's nothing really around September time unless I've really missed them. But certainly none of the kind of the UK-based ones anyway, or the big US ones. But then in October there is Essen Spiel, and again this one is... I think it's the biggest in Europe, and it's definitely more board game focused. But a lot of games get announced at Gen Con, and a lot of games get announced at Essen, and it's an opportunity to kind of pick up some early stuff. Certainly from Jamie's perspective, Jamie, for those that don't know, has just opened Asgard Board Games, so he's starting to get into trading in board games as well. So please do go and check that out on. I'm not sure he's got a Facebook site yet, but check him out. He's certainly on Twitter, Asgard Board Games. And yeah, if you're into your board gaming stuff, it's probably the European equivalent of Gen Con, I would say. So yeah, that's 24th to the 22nd of October in Essen in Germany. So let's have a little chat on the chat again, I should say. Jamie's saying, let me know, we can make a trip. Yeah, I'll have to have a think about it, mate, and check the prices and stuff like that. Gen Con, price-wise, and kind of like just how much time I would have to take out of the schedule, really. I mean, I couldn't just go for 4 days. You'd end up having to make it like a week or something like that, make a holiday out of it. Gen Con's a little bit out of reach for me, I think. But yes, Essen could be a good shout. Paulos is saying to Margot, there's a small show at Abingdon, might not be too far from you. Buzz is saying, did you say Spiel is in Essen? No, it's in Essen, E-S-S-E-N, the German city, Essen. Michael says we have a bit of a down year this year. 2 of the shows have been cancelled, among the biggest one being not able to get a venue. Really? I wonder what's happened with the venues, mate. Has the venue closed, or have they decided they don't want them back there anymore or something? Tony saying would love to go to Gen Con. God, I know. I would absolutely love to. It's one of those things. I think I'd have to make it kind of like a family holiday, but then I'd feel really guilty about just like ignoring the family for 4 days. It would be because I think you have to just immerse yourself in it. Jamie saying, don't forget Warhammer Fest in May. Yeah, it's funny. I kind of don't think of them as a convention as well. But if you're into your miniature gaming, if you're into especially Games Workshop stuff, there is the Warhammer Fest in May. It's over 2 days. It's one of those things where I think you can kind of get away with maybe doing 1 day, but certainly they do a Saturday and a Sunday ticket. If you're into your Warhammer stuff, it's not at Warhammer World. I think it's at the Rico Arena in Coventry. So it's at a football stadium. So there's a bit more space there, and they obviously do the big reveals and stuff now. You get to meet some of the kind of the studio designers, the heavy metal painters, people like Duncan. It's a pretty cool day from all accounts. I've never been that deep into Games Workshop stuff that I've kind of made the trip. I almost went 1 year and then, I was moving house. My house move ended up clashing with the weekend it was, and I couldn't go at the last minute. But yeah, maybe it's something I might try. I don't know if I'll try it this year, but maybe at some point. We've got 12 Neef in. Good evening, 12 Neef. Not chatted before, so thank you for joining the chat. He says, Gen Con is a mess. It's difficult to get a room. It's carnival level now. I've been doing Adepticon, which is fun. I've been to LVO, which was okay. I plan on doing LVO next year. I think that's the problem with Gen Con, is it's carnage, and I think as a new person going, I wouldn't even know where to start. I'd been tempted to do one of those what they called again, the Geek Nation tours things, where it's almost a bit of a guided tour around the place to kind of keep you on track, but it's just so expensive, that's all. LVO, I forgot to mention LVO because it's obviously it's just been, isn't it, like last weekend before. LVO is one I would absolutely love to do. Big fan of miniature gaming, obviously. Huge fan of going to Las Vegas. Why not combine the two? The LVO, I don't know if it was this year, but certainly last year was at Bally's Casino. So it's right on the strip as well in Las Vegas. Fantastic location. I've done kind of Vegas for the weekend before in the past as well, so I'd quite happily kind of make that one a weekend trip. Certainly, they had a Kill Team tournament this year as well. That's another one I could potentially be kind of really interested in kind of saving for and making a special trip to. Michael says another one venue burned down a couple of weeks ago. Oh, that's not good to hear that at all. Paulo says Colours in Reading is in September. Ah, interesting. I've heard about Colours, but I've never been to that one before, and I've not heard much about it. I've just heard the name of it. Mark saying BlackJack Legacy road trip to Essen. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get the EasyJet flights booked while they're cheap. Steve says July there's Battle Group South. I'll start that again. Battle Group South event at Bovington Tank Museum and Attack in Devizes, is it? Not sure about the dates. It's good to know that there are some, because I mean, I think the more local ones can probably cope with it, but the bigger ones, I guess, their main crowd's probably maybe away on holiday or looking after the kids over the summer or something. We've got James Firth Hayden in. Good evening, James. How are you doing, mate? Thanks for joining the chat. Says he usually does Salute, and then this year we'll try and get to... Is it Selwig later on? Warhammer Fest is a tad too far from me. I'm trying to work out where you are, and if Warhammer Fest's too far, but you do salute. What's Selwick? I've heard the name before, but I can't think what it is. Let me know in the chat what it is, mate. Skullmunch says to Paulos, what's going down in Abingdon? We're in Oxfordshire ourselves. I forgot you guys were in Oxfordshire. I used to, it was Cambridge I used to go to, kind of Cambridge where I used to go to. There's a race course there. I forget what it's called now. Huntington. I used to spend a bit of time in Huntington many years ago. Tony says, luckily my family would consider Gen Con a great holiday. Yeah, that helps, doesn't it? I mean, I've obviously spoke to my wife about it in the past, and she was kind of like, you know, if we can make a holiday of it as a family and kind of do it together. But now she's starting to get into board gaming a bit more. I mean, we've played board games nearly every night for the last week now, which has been awesome. Really enjoyed it. We're kind of like we haven't really watched any TV. We've had our food. We've brought out our board games. We've played everything from Carcassonne. We had a game of Zombie Flux the other night. We've had like 3 nights of playing Pandemic Legacy. So who knows? Maybe by this time next year, she might want to come with me. Jamie saying he's just going to nip down for the day. Nip down for the day. I'm wondering where you're thinking, mate, where you're saying you're going to nip down for the day. I'm not sure, mate. Dice Tail says, see you there. See you there. And Paulos says, the Skullmunch is a small show at a school in Abingdon. Went a couple of years ago. Can't remember what it's called or when it is, mate. Not run by the local gaming group. I'm sure we'll be able to find out. If we put it in the chat, somebody will remember about it. Henrik says he'll be at Essen on the Saturday. Oh, we might have to have a European meetup, mate. 12 Neef says to VJ Morph, hey, bud. Michael says to Henrik, let's go together to save some gas. So I'm guessing you guys are relatively close together then, are you? James is saying he's on the south coast, South London War Games, I think. Ah, right. He bought tickets last year, and then the trains went on strike, and 1 hour train journey turned into a 2 to 3 hour epic each way. Oh, that's not good, mate, is it? You do not want that, do you? I know last year when we went down to salute, Jamie went down in the car, and I got the train down. And I think Jamie, there was an accident on the motorway going down. There was like a helicopter landing to take people to air ambulance and stuff. It was kind of touch and go. I think whether they were going to get there as well. That's right, buddy. Warhammer Fest. That's you're going the one day. There's a few guys from my local gaming group are going this year, and they do it every year. What they do is they make a weekend of it, but they go down on the Saturday morning. They go to Warhammer World on the Saturday because it's quite quiet because everybody's at Warhammer Fest. They kind of have a few games in there, play a bit, have a bit of food and Bugmans, and then they go and sit on the canal out the back in Nottingham and have a few drinks out in the sunshine because it's always like nice weather that time of year. And then they go on the Sunday, they go to Warhammer Fest. So I could be tempted to kind of tag along on that one because it sounds like a bit of a last weekend, to be honest. Mark says the Skullmunch, you're not far from me. I'm just over in Berkshire. It's amazing, isn't it? Just how small a world it is. We're all quite close, really. Hendrik says to Michael, that's okay. He's going to do a VIP after Essen. I'll try and get you on the list. Oh, if there's VIP tickets, buddy. Paulo says the Abingdon show might be called Overload. Keep an eye out for that one, Skullmunch. And VJ says, I think CanCon is the biggest con in Australia. Yeah, I wrote CanCon down, but I couldn't remember when it was. It was just recently, I think, wasn't it? He says, I'd like to go, but it's on a weekend when I always have lots of gigs. I work in the entertainment industry. Excellent, mate. I didn't realise that. CanCon, I'm assuming it's because it's in Canberra, is it? I'm assuming that's why it's called CanCon. Because I think I always used to think CanCon was Canadian. But yeah, I saw this year it's on Australia. I think I remember seeing there was a bit of chat in my local group, have our WhatsApp group where we're kind of chatting Age of Sigmar mainly. That's what the guys mainly play. And I think they were chatting about what was the winners at the Age of Sigmar tournament because the field in Australia is very different. You don't see the kind of the usual, what we would consider the kind of usual filth, if you like. You don't really see that in Australia. You guys seem to play different armies, and I always find that really interesting, that especially in the days now of the internet when everybody kind of net lists, and it's not like Australian meta is completely separate from the UK meta because you never get to see what each other plays. Now with the internet and stuff, it always fascinates me that there is still such a wide kind of range of different lists of people playing. VJ says, yeah, it's on Australia Day weekend. I bet that's a bit of a ball ache, mate. I mean, on Australia Day weekend, did the families not like go and do other stuff? And it says, yeah, it's in Canberra in late January. Michael saying to Henrik, he's on the YouTubers VIP list. He even drives you down. And Paulos is saying he's not far either. He's in Warwickshire. I think you guys should organise your own little convention and I'll come down and see you guys. So, the only other one I've got on my list, apart from MidCon in Derby in November, is Dragon Meet in December. That one certainly started as more of an RPG-focused one, but it's grown all the time. I was chatting to Josie from Green Stuff Games, and she was saying that basically she really enjoyed it. She's been the last couple of years, and it's really starting to kind of to take off and pick up a little bit now. Dragon Meet last year in December was where Red Scar Publishing announced the Kings of War RPG that they're going to be working on with Mantic Games. So it's becoming a bit of a one for the calendar anyway. I'm pretty sure it's down in London. London's always a bit of a I don't know why it's just a bit more difficult to get to. It's not cheap. It's not the place I really want to kind of take the car and park in central London. So I always end up like kind of giving the London sort of stuff a bit of a miss, to be fair. VJ says he doesn't really follow the meta, so no idea what people play. To be honest, I'm a 100% social player. Yeah, me as well, mate. I played a bit of AOS for a while. The guys that are my local group are much more serious. They're definitely tournament players, and I kind of drifted away from that, probably because of that, to be fair. Because I don't like to play one game often enough that I get good at it, so I can compete at tournaments. I've had my kind of tournament days years ago when I used to play a lot of War Machine and a lot of Malifaux. These days, I like to try and play everything. We've got Joel Wrigley in. Good evening, Joel Wrigley. I don't think we've chatted before either, so thank you for joining the chat tonight. Say shout out for Phalanx in St Helens, usually on a Saturday in mid-June. It's a smallish con, no tournaments, mainly historical war games, but often a couple of fantasy games on. It's good to kind of hear about the smaller ones. I know there's definitely I think there's like Jamie might know better if he's still around. He is. There's a one in kind of Middlesbrough or Stockton way, I think it is, kind of November time as well. I think it's called Battlegrounds. I don't know what that one's like. I've always wanted to go and kind of never managed to kind of make it really. Skullmunch is saying awesome Paulos, a small world, and Paulos is saying yeah, getting smaller. And Jamie says he's at an AOS tournament at Battle Bunker on Saturday. Hey mate, what army are you taking? I'm trying to think which one you took down to Throne of wasn't Throne of Skulls, was it? It was definitely the Warhammer event anyway. Battlegrounds, that's the one I was thinking of. I can't remember which army are you taking, buddy? Let me know. So yeah, so that's my list anyway. I'm sure there's many more. What I would suggest is if you do think of any more, or you want to give a little shout out and make people aware of them, head over to this video, probably either later tonight or tomorrow. Come back to the video, click the like button, drop a comment in the video as well, and put those kind of wargaming conventions or those board gaming conventions that you're really looking forward to going, and give some of your local conventions a bit of love as well. Joel said he was here for the Fighting Fantasy thing a couple of weeks ago. I warned you, but you did, mate. It's all coming back now. Thank you very much. You did warn me. I remember now. And Jamie said it's much more historical war games than tabletop. I think that's maybe why I've never been. There's a lot. I mean, I think Border Reaver is another one up in the northeast as well, and that tends to be more historical stuff. And I think that's why I try to maybe like not shy away from them, but just don't feel the need to go. Michael says we're going to have Michael Con, also known as his birthday. Sadly, not a lot of cool shows in the Netherlands. Belgium has 2 or 3. Germany has some big ones, but invite only. I can't believe you have to get invited to them. How much does that go against everything that tabletop gaming should be about? Tabletop gaming is a hobby and is a niche in the market that is all about inclusiveness, making people feel welcome and social and like sort of spending time with people. I can't believe there's an invite-only event. Jimmy's saying he's took Blades of Corn to the team event, but he's got Gloomspite Gits list too. If I get it painted on time, I'll be taking that. I'll see how fast you paint, mate. You'll be putting your feet up on Friday night. You won't have anything to worry about. Yeah, Henrik, you and Michael start your own show, mate. I'll come and visit. And Paulo says, apparently Overlord is on the 3rd of March, in case you missed it. I did miss it, mate. I haven't actually even heard of it before, so thank you for adding that. And Steve says, Reveal in Bristol at the end of November is a nice local event too. Nice to hear. There's plenty. There's so many out there. I'm sure I've missed an absolute ton of them. Yeah, so how are we doing for time? Let's have a look. It's 10:05, so we've got another 25 minutes to go. What I'll do now for the kind of the remainder of this, we'll have a chat about any advice that you would give anybody that's either going to a convention for the first time. I'm just looking at Jamie's comment there. Anybody that's going to a convention for the first time, anybody that doesn't want to go to a convention because they're a little bit worried about it and want to ask any questions, anything sort of specific. Is there anything that's putting you off? Have you been to a convention that you didn't enjoy for whatever reason? I'll kind of kick it off, really. I mean, what I would say is, if you're going for a full weekend convention, there is a lot of walking about. Be prepared to get tired. I mean, it sounds obvious, but like, unless you have a job where you're on your feet all day, because I certainly don't. Mine's kind of a desk job. You will get tired. Your legs will ache. Your feet will hurt. Make sure you've got comfy shoes on. Wear a pair of shorts. I would advise as well. It gets really hot in these convention places. Don't be frightened to stick a pair of shorts on. You and probably 90% of the convention goers will have their shorts on to try and keep it a bit cooler. And just remember, if you're carrying a rucksack around all day, throw a few bottles of water in there as well, and maybe a few snacks. Sometimes the queues can be huge for when you're wanting to get food. Sometimes it can be very expensive. Just make sure you throw a couple of bottles of water and a couple of bits of snacks in there as well, because it can get tiring. You're sitting down playing games, you get tied up. You want to have a look at a certain sort of stalls. You're off to see certain seminars and things. Before you know it, like, the time's got away from you, and you've not really took a step back and had a bit of a break from it. One of the things I really like about UK Games Expo is, because of its location at the NEC, you can kind of come outside for a bit. There's a nice area where you can go and sit around the lake. There's always some food vans outside that have a bit of a kind of like international flavours kind of food vans. You can come and sit outside in the sunshine. Touch wood, it's sunny this year. The last 3 years has been glorious. Yeah, sit outside in the sunshine. There's a little kind of shopping centre with lots of bars and restaurants and stuff in as well, so you can nip out afterwards. Just take a break from it as well, I would say. Is don't burn yourself out on the first day if you're going to be there for a few days. There's lots to see and there's lots to do, but there's also lots of time. So yeah, just take little breaks from it and stuff, and come out and get a bit of fresh air and stretch your legs and just kind of look after yourself, I guess. Jamie says Andy's only upset at invite only because he's not on the list. I know, see if I can get you in. I find invite only events. I get it for like a tournament or something, like, you know, the SNN Battle Reports guys. They have their event over in Gibraltar, and that's invite only. Anybody can apply for it, but it's invite only. But I find anything else other than like a tournament like that, like a Masters thing, anything other than that, I find it bad that it's invite only. I think it should be first come, first served if there's limited numbers, or it should be it should be inclusive. The whole thing is that we're all in this hobby because we all share a love of kind of tabletop gaming, and nothing should exclude anybody from it. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is. It's a real leveler. You know, you can be a guy unemployed with not two pennies to rub together who absolutely loves playing board games, or you can be the richest man in the world. But if you sit at a table and play that board game, it's a leveler. Doesn't matter what you've got. Doesn't matter where you come from. It's a really it's just a good social interaction. Jamie says after this. Sorry, Michael says, Germany has Taktika. You can get in, but as a retailer, you have no chance at all. It's more expensive than a standard Spiel, and that's 4 days. I've never heard of that one, mate. I'll have to check it out just to find out more about it. Right, Jamie's. 1, wear good shoes. Tick. 2, take your own food. Yeah, it gets bloody expensive at some of these ones. 3, water. Yes, definitely. 4, deodorant. Yes, deodorant. So, it's hot, it's stuffy. Gamers get a bit sweaty. It's just the nature of the beast. Aircon, I've noticed, have kind of like a refreshment facility where you can go and kind of get a bit of a wash, and they've got deodorant there to freshen up, and they advise everybody to use it. It's almost a case of there is no excuse to smell because we're providing you with with the facilities to not smell, which I think is a really nice way of not enforcing, but of kind of trying to make sure that the place smells nice. But yeah, stick a roll-on deodorant in your bag or something like that. It gets really hot. 5, shots. I think he means take pictures, not take shots, like sort of shot. I don't think it's that. 6, ask cosplayers for photos. They love it, but don't touch. They don't love it. Yes, that is 100% right. Look, don't touch. Just because somebody has decided to wear something quite revealing does not open up an invite for you to get your hands on. Cosplayers spend a lot of time and money making those costumes, and it can take it's quite a bit of confidence as well to be able to put on that costume and go out into that many people. But they love to kind of sort of to show it off. That's why they're wearing it. So by all means, ask nicely for photographs. Flying Mammal says, yes, cosplayers love it. Flying Mammal has had some amazing cosplay costumes that are there. I've seen the pictures that she's had on Instagram. Amazing. Is it? Oh, I'm going to embarrass myself now, but is it Radagast from Lord of the Rings? Is that the right name? That was a fantastic costume. Michael saying, 7, touch as many cosplayers and say that you cosplay as the dirty man. No, I cannot condone that. What I would say is that these days, that kind of stuff now, I mean, let me rephrase this. I was going to say it's frowned upon. It's always been frowned upon. However, conventions are really clamping down on that kind of stuff now. People are willing to kind of speak up about it now. In the past, they probably would have just not said anything and kind of just never went to a convention again. It's not acceptable to kind of, to make people feel uncomfortable just for enjoying their hobby. So, whilst I appreciate the humour, Michael, yeah, I definitely don't condone it. Paulos, budget for food, especially if you're taking limited funds. You can spend 15 quid plus if you drink tea for England like I do. It is unbelievable. I mean, I'm a big coffee drinker. I can easily spend 15, 20 quid on coffee while I'm at a place like this. The prices are horrendous sometimes, especially if you're down at like Salute, for example. I'm sure it is about £5 for a pretty naff coffee. And if you go out into the kind of the shopping area where there's, I don't know if there's a Starbucks, but there's like a Subway and that kind of places, they are a fortune. Absolute fortune. 12 Neve says, Adepticon surprisingly doesn't have that problem in my experience. Same with LVO, but I have been to Comic-Con where the musk is real. Yeah, I would say when I went to UK Games Expo last year, I didn't really notice it. It's in a really big, airy, open space, which helps, certainly. But I have been to other places where it's pretty bad, to be fair. And all I would suggest is you can't influence anybody else. You can't make them smell nice. But if everybody looks after themselves, just be aware it happens. It doesn't matter how clean you are, how many showers you take, like sort of before you get there, you're in a hot sort of enclosed space with not a lot of kind of fresh air moving through the place. So just kind of, be aware of it, really. Paul says, have a good look round first. You may find a bargain. That is a great shout. So when the times I've been to Salute, I've kind of wandered wandered up and down the rows again and again because you find a lot of the stalls have the same things on and they're all trying to compete with each other and get the best price. Make it to, if you've got time to get round, get all the way around first, unless it's something that you know is going to sell out and you're happy with the price. have a tour around, because there's some places have some real bargains. I think a prime example is the Troll Trader guys at every convention I've been to where they've been there have some absolutely stonking deals on, where they have I think they were selling Star Saga for 25 quid at UK Games Expo, and there was plenty of other stalls had it on for like 45 quid, 50 quid. But yeah, £25 for it. So make sure you do not regret buying something at full price when you go around the corner and they've got it on 20 quid cheaper. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, Henrik. Flying Mammal saying, yup, Radagast. I thought it was right. Thank you very much for making sure I was. Like I say, I've not seen all the Lord of the Rings films. Shh, don't tell anybody. Paulo says, make a list of what you want to buy and then completely ignore it and buy loads of stuff you don't need. I'm glad that's not just me, buddy. I think one of the reasons I didn't enjoy Salute last year was the fact is that I didn't have anything on a list that I wanted to buy, so I was walking the floor looking for something to buy. Let me rephrase that. It's not I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I had a great day. I've seen enough now to not go back. I don't want people. Certainly the people I spent time with last year, I don't want them thinking I didn't have a good day. I had a great day. But I had a great day because I spent time with those people, not because Salute was fantastic. But yeah, I think I wanted the floor just like looking for something to buy, and I was looking at Blood Red Skies, and I was thinking, should I pick that up? Is it something I really want? I was looking at Gangs of Rome, and then I thought, you know what it is? I'm not even sure I'm not even sure they'll see the table. I'm certainly drifting more into board games, I think now, purely because just for the time it takes to prep. So in the past, I used to play lots of different miniatures games, and I never got anything painted, and I played very little stuff, or I borrowed stuff to play with. These days, because I'm board gaming more in my spare time, I'm concentrating on fewer war games, which means I'm painting more, I'm playing more. It's actually, I feel like I'm in a nice place war gaming wise. Michael says, talking about some cool look convention, go to Comic-Con. Oh, I would love to go to Comic-Con. I would have to go to San Diego Comic-Con though, or maybe New York Comic-Con. Not the one in Newcastle. They're not quite the same. But yeah, I would love to go to San Diego Comic-Con. PAX as well. We didn't mention PAX. They're certainly starting to the Penny Arcade Expos. They're definitely starting to sort of pick up a little bit of momentum from a tabletop perspective as well. There's quite a lot of conventions actually are branching out into a bit of tabletop. So I've taken my son, Adam, who's really into computer gaming. I've taken him to a couple of conventions for gaming, such as, what were the ones we went to? I forget what they were now. I forget, but they were both at the NEC in Birmingham. It's going to wrap my brains now. It'll come back to me. But they had set up. I think it's normally Asmodee normally have a bit of an area set up with board gaming and stuff like that. Obviously, trying to get sort of digital gamers into board gaming as well. So we're starting to see that kind of branching over a little bit now. And then things like Resident Evil, things like Dark Souls are certainly kind of bridging that gap. Regardless of what you think of the games, they're interesting sort of digital gamers into the board gaming world. Michael says, don't wear superhero spandex. I don't think I could get away with that, mate. Jamie says, just go straight to TT Combat. Yeah, they have some pretty good bloody deals, don't they? Paulus is saying, be prepared to fight for your place at the bring and buy tables. Last man standing. It is like a fight to the death, isn't it? I mean, the queues at the bring and buy tables are unbelievable. Everybody looking for a bargain. Skullmunch said, I picked up some Walking Dead boosters from TT Combat for 9 quid, where Mantic stall across the way was selling them for 15. Sorry, Mantic. Yeah, I mean, I think Mantic always tend to sell them at list price, because what they don't want to do is start undercutting all of the retailers, because the retailers are selling their products as well. Last thing they want to do is rock up and undercut the retailers. So I think what they tend to do is they tend to have some like show exclusives. They tend to have show deals where if you buy X number of pounds worth of stuff, you get sort of special stuff that maybe the other stores don't have. But yeah, you often find that there's there's always somewhere cheaper, and it's always worth kind of having a wander around to find out. Craig said he's loving Blood Red Skies. Who was it? Is it Patrick that's been painting the Blood Red Skies stuff? I can't remember now. Somebody's been painting some in the Facebook. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. Somebody's been painting them in the Facebook group, and they look really nice. It's a relatively cheap starter set as well, and I might still pick it up just to give it a go, actually. Insomnia, Jamie saying, that's it. Insomnia is the kind of the big, slightly cooler one, and there's another one as well, which is, oh, what's it called? It's got X in the title for some reason. Not Expo. Well, I forget. There's another one as well, mate. EGX. I should have just looked under the one underneath. Yeah, EGX is the other one. So I've been to EGX a couple of times, and I've been to Insomnia a couple of times as well. And there's more and more board gaming stuff appearing there now. Yeah, Jamie's saying that this War of Mine board game, the Binding of Isaac board game, there's more and more of that kind of crossover now. It's certainly starting to certainly starting to tempt sort of people across from the digital world. How are we doing? 10 minutes left. Right, let me have a drink before I dry out completely. So then, folks, what have you thought about conventions then for this evening? Have you got any conventions that you're maybe not sort of giving a bit of a wide berth to, you've been before and don't want to go back to? Have you got any that you're looking forward to going to this year? Have you got any questions for me about conventions? Just a bit of a kind of an open forum, I think, for the last 10 minutes. Michael says, yes, that's what Mantic does. Also, in the thought of Brexit, yes, that was Patrick. Last Crisis was Mantic's first tryout to get on retailers' stands and help with the sales they have to undercut a bit in pricing, and that was marvellous. Yeah, I think Mantic are starting to move more now and use conventions as less of like go and flog a load of product and more about sort of getting their brand out there and trying to show their new games off and demo stuff, really. So by all, like, come to Mantic stall, demo Hellboy, and then head over there to one of our retail partners and then go and buy the game. And I think that should kind of work well for them in the future. Paula says, be prepared to talk until you're hoarse. So many interesting people to chat to. That's a really good point, buddy. Doesn't matter where you go. You can be standing in a queue. You can be demoing a game. Like, there's amount of times I was sitting demoing something and somebody would say, oh, do you mind if I jump in and demo this with you? Because otherwise, if you don't do that, you could be just hanging around kind of waiting for a spot to open up. By all means, dive in. People, 99% of people will not mind you joining in their game. They'll quite appreciate having extra players so they can kind of see how it goes. Michael says, having Ronnie on the stand was one of the best things that happened to the shop since starting out. That guy has energy. Yeah, I would not disagree with that, mate. Some people are born salesmen, aren't they? Some people can talk the hind legs of a donkey. I'm not sure if that's a phrase that translates into Dutch, but yeah, that some people have the gift of the gab, and Ronnie's certainly one of those. So yeah, just to kind of recap some of the stuff I'll be going to this year. Certainly Tabletop Legacy Weekender. If you haven't checked it out, please head across and check that out. It's one of the cheaper conventions, I would say, and you also get a really cool goodie bag when you go in that will pretty much cover the price of your ticket. I'm saying pretty much because I don't want to guarantee it will, but I'm pretty sure it will, though. There's some awesome stuff in it. And Aircon, looking forward to going to Aircon, seeing what all the noise was about from last year, because people really did say it was great, and playing some games, really, almost just using it as get a little bit of footage for the channel, maybe talk to some kind of a few people there, and also get some games in. And then, of course, UK Games Expo. Can't wait for that. I'm booked up. My hotel's all sorted. I'm there for the full 3 days. Looking forward to meeting up with Jamie, and I would say Tony's going to be there as well. It'd be good to meet up with those guys. Anybody that's going to be going to the UK Games Expo, please get in touch. I'm more than happy to kind of meet up, have a chat, have a coffee, play some games. I'm on my own anyway, so more than happy to kind of say hi to anybody that's there. Christian saying, the Top Table Legacy Weekender will be his first gaming convention. Trying to figure out if I can get to UK Games Expo. Yeah, it's if you enjoy it, mate, you'll definitely want to kind of make the trip. That's for sure. Paul also saying just getting back into RPGs after a break of 30 plus years, so would love to go to an RPG con in the UK. Check out Dragon Meet. It's not until December, so it gives you a bit of time to kind of get ready for it. But Dragon Meet is very heavily RPG focused. They have loads of RPG stuff going on. Michael says, we say I can sell a turd back to the dog. That's about the same. We have a saying in the UK saying you can sell coals to Newcastle, and that's because basically in Newcastle many years ago there were a lot of coal mines here. It was known for being a big kind of coal mining town or kind of coal mining area. So if you could sell coals to Newcastle, it was kind of like selling the turd back to the dog, basically. Furious George is in. Good evening, Furious George. How are you doing, mate? He says, still going. Nice. I'll have to catch up with the show from the start. You've caught us for the last 5 minutes, buddy. We're going to wrap up in 5 minutes' time, but we've been talking about conventions, talking about all the different ones that are happening through the calendar, and how we're coming into coming into March now is when the convention calendar really does kick off, convention season. And also having a little bit of a chat about some tips really for newbies. Sort of comfy shoes, take some water, take some snacks, plan your day a little bit as well. Kind of that was one of the things I didn't say really. Have an idea about what you want to see, what you want to do. Check the times for the seminars, because some of them really do kind of fill up fast. So if you're, for example, if you're going to one of the Games Workshop seminars where they reveal loads of new stuff, they fill up fast. Everybody wants to be in there to hear about the new shinies. So yeah, check them ones out. And Paulo says, cheers, mate, we'll check it out. Battle Knights is in as well. He says, hey, sorry, I missed it. He was painting. How very dare you? Good to have you in, buddy. How are you doing? We've just been having a chat about different conventions. And did I remember you saying you're going to Aircon? Did I remember that right? If you are, mate, let me know, because it'd be good to kind of meet up and have a chat and say hello as well. Michael says, if you don't know what Blurple is, ask Andy. He'll show you the video of mine. Yes, Michael has come up with the perfect combination of colours for his Night Stalkers. Purple's a bit purple, blue's a bit blue. He's now got Blurple, which is a mixture of blue and purple, funny enough. But the colour, so it's the blue wash and the purple wash. I forget what they're called from Games Workshop. Is it Druky Violet is the purple, and I forget what the blue one's called. Anyway, mix the two together, 50-50, awesome colour for Night Stalkers. Michael's got a video, check it out. So, folks, that's we're kind of coming up to wrapping up time now. So, first of all, thank you everybody for being in the chat tonight. Really do appreciate you coming in, sharing your convention stories, sharing your local conventions, keeping the community going. Really, really good. I'd like to say a huge, huge thank you to all of my new Patreons. So I had a little bit of a push recently, and loads of you really did kind of step up and support the channel. I'm trying to get to a point where kind of it becomes kind of self-sustaining, maybe a little bit from Patreon support, but also trying to get the channel to a point where it kind of pays for itself as well. But in order to get to that point, I need your support to help me. So the Patreon support is fantastic. Jamie's really kind of stepped up and has been the first of the 10 people to come in at that top pledge level. So Jamie, we need to organise you getting you onto this live stream as well at some point, mate. Christian's upped his pledge as well, and he's really kind of stepped up. So thanks to Christian. Tony's still in there as well from day one. There's too many to mention, to be fair, but I really just thanks to every single one of you. I mean, some of the names are on there as well. Darren's just became a new Patreon as well, and James Q there as well, pledged as well. So if it's something that you would like to support the channel, the pledges start at $2. Honestly, don't think $2 like what on earth, what use is that? $2 is huge. If everybody gave $2, I could quit my day job tomorrow and make this a full-time gig. So don't ever think that kind of $2 is not worth it. It's a huge amount to me, and it really does help. So thank you to every single one of you that help, and thank you to anybody that's thinking about it. Yeah, Jamie's just saying it's Drakenhof Nightshade. How could I not remember that? That will be blue. And he says Blurple's become a thing. Michael says, put it on a shirt. You put it on a shirt, Michael. You need to set up your stuff. Skullmunch says, hashtag top bants as always. Now let's make like miniature base and get the flock out of here. Perfect, mate. And Paulo says, great show, mate. Stay safe, everyone. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up. So, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow we have a board game review. It's an interesting one. So even if it's not a game that you think you want to play, please watch it because it's an interesting one. So, she just says, well, there, Battle Knights is just saying, I do a lot of walkthroughs of the various conventions I go to on my Gaming Nights channel. He certainly does, which is where I saw Dragon Meat looked awesome. So, yes. So, who was it who was asking about Dragon Meat? Was it Paulos? No, it wasn't Paulos. It was... if I can find it. Who was it? I can't remember who it was now. I'm looking for it in the chat. Whoever it was who was looking about RPG conventions, check out Battle Knights channel. And Gaming Nights channel, sorry. The Gaming Nights is the board game one. Battle Knights is the board games one. Sorry, yes. So everyone's saying thanks and good night. So really will say good night this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.